Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. The big stories tonight. President Duterte calls for a surprise meeting with the COVID-19 task force tomorrow. On the agenda, the possibility of expanding the travel ban to include countries with cases of the new COVID-19 strain from the United Kingdom. It was a shaky start to the Christmas day for most of the metro in Southern Luzon. A magnitude 6.3 earthquake rocked Calatagan, Batangas. TVO says no need to be alarmed for possible tsunamis. It's definite the President is set to veto some items in the General Appropriations Bill for 2021. The Chief Executive is expected to sign the measure on Monday. Finally, Britain will exit the European Union next week with a deal in tow. The UK gets to part ways with the trading bloc with zero tariffs and quotas on goods. And Pope Francis, speaking in what is described as the loneliest Christmas Eve Mass in the Vatican, urges the public to reach out to the poor. Let's start with that strong earthquake at the southern part of Luzon, marring the early hours of Christmas morning. TVO says that they are not expecting any significant damage caused by the quake and its possible aftershocks. Maricel Halili with the details.
A magnitude 6.3 earthquake rocked several parts of Luzon past 7 a.m. on Christmas Day. TVO said that the quake's epicenter, which was tectonic in origin, was in Calatagan, Batangas. Intensity 5 was felt in some areas of Occidental Mindoro, Cavite, and Laguna. Intensity 4 was recorded in some areas of Metro Manila, Rizal, Bulacan, Zambales, Pangasinan, La Union, and Pampanga.
Sumisigaw naman yung aking apo, Inay, humilindol. Takot ako. Matagal eh. Paano ako gumagalaw na ganun yung ilaw, yung nasa taas.
TVO's Director Renato Soledum explained that this earthquake is considered strong given its magnitude, but the expected damage is minimal due to its depth.
Marami ang nakakaramdam kapag malalim at malakas, pero mahina na po ang dating. Kaya hindi naman tayo nag-expect ng significant damage dyan sa lindol na yan.
Aftershocks are expected, but there are no threats of tsunami.
Unang-una, malalim po masyado yung lindol. At pangalawa, yung cut-off natin ng magnitude na pwedeng magdulot ng tsunami ay 6.5, 6.3 lang kanina.
However, the Christmas quake destroyed houses and ruined walls in Lubang Occidental, Mindoro. Tremors were also felt in Metro Manila. In this video taken by a netizen, the lights were seen swinging because of the quake. At a condominium in Quezon City, an emergency evacuation was implemented to prevent casualties. Hours after the quake in Luzon, a 5.2 magnitude earthquake was also recorded in Sarangani. No damage has been reported so far. The LRT Line 2 temporarily suspended its operation this morning to ensure the safety of the passengers following the earthquake. Its operations resumed at 11 a.m. after the trains were declared safe and fit for operations. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
More tourists are flocking to Tagaytay to celebrate the holidays, notwithstanding the earlier morning's earthquake. Marian Enriquez is in Tagaytay to give us updates. Marian, how are the visitors doing?
Robbie, the strong earthquake did not stop tourists from flocking here in Tagaytay this Christmas Day. We've seen hundreds of families enjoyed their picnic in public areas and, of course, the view of Taal Lake. Mahogany Market's business went on as usual despite the early morning earthquake. Eateries were already fully booked for dine-in customers as early as 11 a.m. leaving others waiting. Vendors thought the tremors resulted from Taal volcano's activities.
Koste po, kasi ang lakas ng uga. Tsaka ito ma'am, yung aming tindahan ito. Kitang-kita namin na umuuga sila lahat ma'am. Oo ma'am, nakakatakot.
Ang lakas po, nahilo po ako. Nahilo po lahat kami dito. Tapos yung sabaw ng bulalo, gumaganon. Tapos nagpa-fried ako. Yung mantika, umaano din, tumatalsik. Siguro mga mag-iisang minuto yun. So, ang tagal niya. Sobra. Natakot po kami.
The Aure family from General Trias, Cavite was about to make their way to Tagaytay when they felt the earthquake.
Akala ko kasi sarili ko yon, yung sumusumpong yung high blood, yung gano'n.
Ano naramdaman niyo po noon?
Hilong-hilo ako.
Eh di nung lumindol, nag-ayos kami nito. Nagpapak na kami ng mga pagkain namin. Sabi lang nung aking dalaga, Nanay, lumilindol. Hindi namin na anuhan masyado kasi busy kami sa kusinang mag-asawa.
But as if nothing happened, Tagaytay tourists carried on with their activities. These kids could not contain their excitement as they get to spend their first out-of-town travel since the pandemic started. Their parents say the view deck is the only place where they can bring the children. Minors and senior citizens are still not allowed to enter indoor establishments, such as restaurants.
Kasi ito lang naman yung pwede yung mga bata. Kasi hindi rin naman makakapasok sa tsaka ayaw din namin silang isama pa dun sa mga indoor.
Masaya.
Bakit?
Kasi ngayon ko lang makakalabas.
The Pink Sisters Chapel also opened its doors to travelers from Metro Manila who have made it a yearly Christmas tradition to visit the place of worship.
Grateful pa rin na at least kahit ganito yung situation na rin, nakaka-visit pa rin tayo sa church. Sana matapos na lahat, sana mawala na yung COVID, maging normal na ulit lahat.
Tourists also flocked to Picnic Grove. Some feasted on their baon, while others tried the zipline and Ferris wheel.
Robbie, the traffic along the main road is starting to get heavier. More tourists are expected to come over the weekend and motorists are advised to brace themselves. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Marian Enriquez. President Duterte will be cutting short his holiday break in Davao. He will be flying back to Manila for a special meeting with COVID-19 task force officials tomorrow, that's December 26. Spokesman Harry Roque says the president called for the meeting to discuss the new and more infectious COVID-19 strain spreading in the United Kingdom. Let's recall that the national government recently banned all flights to and from Britain starting December 24 until December 31. Roque says they will discuss the possibility of extending the travel ban. They will also look into expanding it to include other countries that have recorded cases of the UK variant, such as Singapore, Nigeria, and Hong Kong.
Kung maging desisyon ng presidente ayon sa rekomendasyon ng ilang miyembro ng IATF na dapat patagalin pa yung travel ban sa Inglaterra, siguro dyan po sa pagpupulong na yan aaprubahan. At inaasahan ding pag-usapan kung kinakailangan ba magkaroon ng travel ban dun sa mga lugar kung saan nakapasok na ang bagong strain ng COVID-19.
As for the possibility of imposing stricter lockdowns due to what experts already describe as the resurgence of COVID-19 cases, the palace says that may not be necessary for now.
Hindi naman po siguro dahil talagang pinangangalagaan na po natin yung ating mga mamamayan na magkaroon ng hanap buhay. At tingin ko naman itong nakalipas na Pasko, bagat maraming agam-aga, tingin ko naman po napatunayan ng Pilipino na kaya nilang sumunod dun sa mga minimum health standards.
More countries are reporting COVID-19 cases involving this new virus strain from the United Kingdom. Germany, as well as other European countries, have reported infections from the new strain, prompting travel bans against UK and renewed lockdown measures. But what do we know so far about this new strain? Well, for starters, the new variant was first reported in the United Kingdom, has been dubbed the B117 strain. British researchers observed this to be 70% more contagious compared to other SARS-CoV-2 variants. B117 is also believed to have undergone more than a dozen mutations, signaling a faster rate of change compared with other strains. More than half of the infections in London early this month are being linked to this variant. Now, aside from B117, another COVID-19 strain was also reported in South Africa, which is seen to contribute to the surge in cases there. Total coronavirus cases worldwide is now at 79 million. Global deaths from the virus have gone more than 1.5 million. We'll go for a quick break. When the big story returns, the palace says the president already has some items in the 2021 budget that he would like to veto. And just how different were the Christmas Day celebrations this year, especially for frontliners and those affected by calamities? We'll have a look when we come back. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. COVID-19 did not stop some people from visiting a famous theme park in Laguna on Christmas Day, but how exactly did the pandemic change the park's operation this year? Let's find out in this report by Dale De Vera.
Many of those who were here at a theme park in Santa Rosa, Laguna came just in time for its Christmas Day opening. One of them is Vernette and her friends, who say this is the only time they can enjoy a break as a group. And though COVID-19 is still around, Vernette says they can only be too careful so they won't spoil the fun.
Tiwala naman kami sa mga sarili namin na healthy yung immune system.
While some celebrated Christmas with their friends, Leona chose to go to Enchanted Kingdom with her husband. Aside from Christmas, the couple is also celebrating their anniversary. Leona says it's her husband's first time to go to the famous theme park. That's why she wants him to enjoy the experience. However, she admits that she's still worried about the possibility of contracting the virus, especially since the park is almost at its maximum capacity.
Hindi pa siya nakarating dito. Inano po namin na dito i-celebrate yung anniversary po namin. Nasa naman po yun. Basta sundin nyo lang po yung protocol natin. Social distancing, then face mask.
At present, Enchanted Kingdom's maximum capacity is at 8,000, a far cry from its 20,000 threshold before the pandemic. And even with this figure, the management is strictly enforcing health and safety protocols set by the IATF. Visitors are mandated to have their temperature scanned and to fill out health declaration forms that must be submitted before they can enter the theme park. Inside the park, so-called safety wizards roam around to remind the public to wear their face masks and face shields, as well as to maintain social distancing. Hand washing stations and hand sanitizer dispensers are also visibly installed within the park grounds.
Pag lumampas ng 8,000 guests ang nasa loob, yung 8,001 guests, yung sumunod doon, medyo pagsasabihan na namin na sorry, hindi kayo namin pwedeng tanggapin, pwede kayo maghintay kung may lalabas para mapapasok namin kayo, o kaya bibigyan na lang namin ng offer na bumalik na lang ibang araw. Kasi at any one time, at every hour, binibilang namin at hindi namin pinapalampas ng 8,000.
They say Christmas is for the kids, but with the pandemic, they're not allowed to go to theme parks. That's why young adults and young at hearts like me have all the rights to ourselves to enjoy. And since children aged 14 and below are not allowed inside the parks, kiddie rides are also closed for the meantime. But visitors who just want a laid-back experience can be entertained by shows like The Mascot, dance and magical light parades. EK also boasts of its newest attraction, Aguila, which is a hit as it takes park-goers to different tourist destinations in the country. For News 5, Dale De Vera, We're One News.
Now, for those with no plans of going outside the metro, you might want to visit Luneta. But keep in mind that the park's management is implementing certain rules and regulations. Curfew hours are in place. Visitors are only allowed from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. A maximum of 2,000 visitors daily will be given access to the park. Minors may enter the park so long as they have their parents and guardians. Visitors must also observe minimum health protocols. Picnic gatherings are also prohibited at the moment. Frontliners in different fields and industries barely got to take some time off this year for the holidays, with the pandemic changing the course of lives everywhere. But according to these frontliners, being in the service of others is still a good way to celebrate Christmas. Shaila Francisco tells us their stories.
Epi Sampong, a security guard, can't hide his excitement to go home after his Christmas Eve duty. He was finally able to reunite with his family this Christmas after months of living in the barracks.
Sana lahat tayo mag-enjoy. Huwag natin yung sarili natin na dahil pandemic, tayo magmukmuk. Huwag gawa tayo ng paraan para makasurvive sa buhay.
Meanwhile, Dr. Arnold Alvarez, an internist, was able to have an early celebration with his family. After getting together, he went straight to a hospital in Pasig City where he spent Christmas Day.
Dapat kaming rumisponde at magmanis ng aming pasyente sa lahat ng aming makakaya sapagkat yan po ang sinumpuan naming tungkulin bilang doktor.
For ambulance driver Wilson Cabanero, the lives of his patients need to be prioritized more than any celebration. He spent Christmas serving those who need to be brought to various hospitals and isolation facilities.
Tuloy-tuloy kami, wala kaming pahinga, 24/7 kami. Trabaho muna po.
The same goes for Chito Consular, who decided to continue with his work as a food delivery rider. He'd rather work than celebrate Christmas alone because his family has moved to the province due to the pandemic.
Mas pipiliin ko ba makatulong na lang sa ibang tao, magserbisyo na lang sa tao. Mas gusto ko magtrabaho at kumita ng pera kasi mahirap ang buhay ngayon.
Police and patrol officers were also not thinking about celebrating Christmas as their service is much needed.
Ay gusto po nating mabawasan at makatulong sa ating mamamayan para mabawasan po yung ating pandemya at hindi na kumalat pa.
Nalulungkot din po kaso wala talagang ito yung pinaming trabaho, talagang ito po minapokus ngayon. Bantayan namin yung aming kalsada para sa taong bayan.
For these frontliners, more than being with their families, the true spirit of Christmas lies of being in service to others, especially amid the ongoing pandemic. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
President Duterte is expected to sign the 2021 national budget on Monday. The palace says the president will veto some items in next year's spending plan. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque confirms that some items in the proposed 4.5 trillion peso budget were recommended for veto. He refused to give any further details.
Sigurado po na magkakaroon po ng veto message, no? Pero I'm not at liberty to discuss po kung ano itong mga items nito. Bagamat matagal na po nakahanda ang ating DBM sa kanyang rekomendasyon at inaasahan din na aprobahan din po ng Presidente yung naging rekomendasyon ng DBM.
The proposed budget is intended to revive the country's economy following the impact of the pandemic and recent calamities. It includes an allotment of 72.5 billion pesos for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. The sectors to receive the highest allocation under the proposed 2021 national budget are education, infrastructure, and health. We'll take one more break. More of the big stories when we come back. Please stay with us. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. How are our kababayans in Cagayan still reeling from the devastation of recent calamities, celebrating holiday traditions? Romel Lopez finds out. He is reporting to us live from Tugigaraw. Romel, kamusta ang Pasko dyan sa Cagayan?
Robbie, not even the successive tropical cyclones that submerged the province floodwaters in the past several weeks could dampen the holiday spirit here in Cagayan.
Simbang Gabi is just one of many Filipino Christmas traditions. It is believed that completing the 9 devotional night masses will mean the granting of one's fervent wishes. It is perhaps with this goal in sight that Cagayanons, despite the recent disaster, persisted in attending night masses including the Christmas Eve Mass or the Misa de Gallo.
Wish ko sana na wag nang maulit yung baha sa sobrang dami nang namatay, ang daming na permisyo, ang daming nawalan ng bahay.
Yung mga bata, walang makain, walang bahay. Kaya yung iba, kaya winish namin na talagang umaraw na ngayong Pasko kasi merong pang tao sa evacuation.
After hearing Mass, hundreds of evacuees in Tuguegarao City turned to their own merrymaking activities. Some hit the videoke. While others enjoyed parlor games organized within their community. Barangay officials who organized these activities say they want the evacuees to regain some sense of normalcy while making sure that health protocols are observed.
Bago po kami nag-conduct ay nagbigay po muna kami sa kanila ng face mask at pinaalalahanan din yung physical distancing na yun po talagang standard protocol natin para po masiguro na yung aktibidad na ito ay nakaayon dun sa mga health protocols po natin.
Evacuees also received Noche Buena packages and some gift certificates from the provincial government. And for Julius Torre, these dole-outs help his family get through Christmas celebrations without incurring additional expenses during these trying times.
Mas maganda po yung nasa bahay lang kasi di po kami komportable dito sa hindi naming sariling bahay. Mas maganda yung sariling laban namin bahay na matitirahan para mas maganda yung Pasko namin. Sama-sama kaming mga pamilya.
Polycarpio family is grateful for the relief food packs as well. Their junk shop business was nearly wiped out during the massive flooding in November. And before they could even bounce back, another flooding brought them back to the evacuation center. But the family patriarch says they are still looking forward for better days ahead.
Ngayon lang po nangyari sa amin yung ganito eh. Medyo malungkot, hindi kami sama-sama ng mga anak ko. Kaya alam magagawa. Talaga pong ganyan.
Pero kahit pa paano mabuo pa rin ba ang loob?
Oo, eka nga, huwag kang mawala ng pag-asa hanggat nabubuhay may pag-asa.
The local government is optimistic that the coming year will give the Cagayanons a better chance at redemption. To Governor Manuel Umamba, the priority now is to rebuild and rehabilitate so that they can move forward from the recent calamities that made them feel almost helpless.
Ang silver lining kasi ng 2020 dito sa atin sa Cagayan ay nalaman ng national government ang totoong problema natin, especially sa ating environment. That is why I see hope, no? Nakakakita ako ng pag-asa. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And although it might be a long tunnel, but the light is there.
Robbie, the weather here in Cagayan has improved since yesterday. Water level at the Cagayan River is now below the alarm level. Should this continue, we can expect that hundreds of Cagayanons who are spending the Christmas in the evacuation centers will be back home soon to welcome the New Year. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Romel. Ingat at maligayang Pasko. That was Romel Lopez reporting live from Tuguegarao City in Cagayan. Now, time for the big stories in sports. A look at the game with Paolo Del Rosario.
Barangay Ginebra guard L.A. Tenorio is all smiles during the holidays after winning his 6th PBA title and a Finals MVP trophy during the recent Philippine Cup. In an interview with The Game, Tenorio shares his experience living and playing in the bubble and how this impacted Ginebra's teamwork.
So I think the advantage also of the bubble is, every win and every lose, win or lose, you'll be with your teammate. And with that, you will develop really the chemistry and bond. Whether you win or you lose, you have something to talk about during the game, kung ano yung nangyari sa game. So malaking bagay na after a game, especially after a loss, mas madali mo makausap yung mga teammates mo. And then next game, you guys will bounce back. Napakasarap ng feeling kasi nakakapag-usap kayo eh. Diba? Kasi pag in a normal basis, after a game or after a win or a lose, pag-uwi nyo sa bahay, wala na hindi nyo na pag-uusapan yun. Pero ito, you have a lot of time to talk about what happened in the game. You'll make fun of one player by doing this, doing that. So with that, nabubuo yung chemistry unti-unti. No? Especially game on the line or pagka medyo hirap na kami sa game or may pressure na sa game.
Catch more of our interview with Barangay Ginebra's L.A. Tenorio later at 9:30 p.m. Only here on One News and One Sports Plus. That's it in the world of sports. My name is Paulo Del Rosario, and this has been The Game. Merry Christmas, everybody.
The United Kingdom is less than a week away from completing its transition period out of the European Union, this time with a post-Brexit trade deal at hand. Britain clinched a narrow trade agreement with the EU just days before leaving one of the world's biggest trading blocs. The deal preserves Britain's zero tariff and zero quota access to EU's single market of 450 million consumers, but this does not prevent future economic pains of disruption on both England and the EU. The Pope officiated what was described as the loneliest Christmas Eve Mass in the Vatican. The low-key celebration was held in a rear section of St. Peter's Basilica with only around 100 participants. Traditionally, 10,000 people attend the Pope's Christmas Eve Masses. In his homily, the Pope urged people to reflect on societal injustices and to reach out to the poor, as Jesus himself was born in poverty.
Il figlio di Dio è nato scartato, per dirci che ogni scartato è figlio di Dio. È venuto al mondo come viene al mondo un bimbo, debole e fragile, perché noi possiamo accogliere con tenerezza le nostre fragilità.
And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again on Monday, 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Maligayang Pasko po. Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko. Ako po si Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.
Magkasama tayo, itutuloy ang Pasko. Wala nang regalo, ang hiling ko, sana'y laging masaya tayo. Nandito tayong dumaramay, handang tumulong at magbigay upang bumuti at sumayang ating buhay. Nandiyan at abot kamay, tayo'y maging liwanag ng Pasko. Tulong-tulong tayo, tayo'y liwanag, ikaw at ako, tuloy pa rin ang Pasko. Tayo'y maging liwanag ng Pasko. Tulong-tulong tayo, tayo'y liwanag, ikaw at ako, tuloy pa rin ang Pasko.
Kapit sa pag-asa, sama-sama, pangarap ng isa't isa. Nasa ating